I need new music.
This is the JJO Discover New Music Podcast.
Before we start talking about Quit, your third studio album, Hardy, I got to ask, since the last time we chatted, got any good fishing done lately? You've been getting out and about since the last time we chatted?
You know, let me think about that. The last, good fishing I did was a few weeks ago, and I went striper fishing at an undisclosed location, and I got to say that, but and did really well. I caught a 20-pounder.
Damn!
But I haven't really had much time, but I'm going to definitely hit it hard this fall.
That's how it always goes. Whenever you love fishing, you never find enough time for it, but I'm glad you got to go out there, catch a nice fat striper, have good luck. I appreciate you keeping the location close to the vest. You know, I got a buddy like that, too, who never tells me anywhere he goes. He just sends me photos and says, check out what I got. And then I'm sitting there, with my little 4-inch bluegill, just mad at the world. So, anyway, I won't hold it against you.
You got to put that bluegill on a bigger hook and go catch something else with it.
There you go. I'll use that as bait. That's what it'll be. Otherwise, it's a sad fish fry. Well, right. Always time to talk about fishing, but you know what? Let's talk about your new album. Very excited to announce Quit, the third studio album from Hardy. And I kind of want to lead off with this because as we see this progression with you from songwriter, your roots in that, and a country songwriter, really. Obviously, you've delved into so much more, and now singer-songwriter. 2020, we had your debut album, A Rock, and then we keep the ball rolling and see that growth with The Mockingbird and The Crow. What maybe did you see different? And maybe approaching it on the songwriting side, the singer side of things, what maybe stood out with Quit compared to your previous works?
Well, aside from it being obviously a heavier, my true attempt at a rock and roll record, the writing process was very, very similar to just the Nashville way. Every song I wrote, I didn't write any of them really with any rock guys. I just wrote cool songs with my buddies that I write all of my country stuff with, and that was kind of that. But I knew it was very intentional going into this, knowing that I was going to write a rock record. And so I would come in with an idea that maybe you couldn't get away with, like you can, and that you couldn't get away with in country. You have a song called "Good Girl Phase," and we talk about how the girl's secretly doing drugs in the bathroom, and those are things that you can't really get away with on
right.
In the country market as much. So there was a little bit more. I hate to use the word freedom, but a little bit more leeway, I guess you could say, is what we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
But other than that, the writing process was very similar. Obviously, I had to, when I hit the vocal booth and all that, it was a little bit more of a challenge with the screams and just singing a little bit more abrasively. But for the most part, the process, it just felt like we were writing a record, same as always.
It seems like you knew what you were writing, but you didn't want to force what you were writing. And so, did it feel forced ever in this, in finding that rock voice and leading more that way?
No, I think it just was such a gradual, natural progression. With every record, A Rock had some heavier stuff, and then The Mockingbird and The Crow obviously had heavier stuff. Mm-hmm. So with this, I just felt like I had kind of arrived in that headspace a little bit more than feeling like I had to arrive, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, but no, it came very naturally. I think it was time to push that boundary a little bit, and I owe so much of it to my collaborators, my songwriting collaborators, and how they never doubted the sound or the idea, although it was something different and something again a little more abrasive. They never made me feel like it was forced or tried to say something was a little too much or whatever. They just rolled with me.
You probably though have always had rock kind of in your repertoire, always kind of ready to go. So it seems like finding that voice didn't take too long.
No, I don't think so. My very first EP that I ever put out had a song on it called 4x4, which I say to this day could still fit on a record today because it was so rock forward. Mm-hmm. And again, just the small little moments of my first real heavy song was a song called Boots that I had on my record A Rock, and that kind of opened up the door for Sold Out, which opened up the door for Jack, and so on and so forth. So it's always been in me. And of course, if you know me, I grew up on rock and roll. I grew up a small town kid, but I only listened to rock and roll forever. So it really, it's just always been in me.
Listen, rate, share, subscribe. Discover new music now at WJJO.com, in the JJO app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Brock has a new interview every Thursday evening between 6 and 7. 94.1 JJO.
I need new music.
This is the JJO Discover New Music Podcast.
Quit out now, the third record, and saw you working with your buddy Joey, who has been with you, and you kind of mentioned having those people that you trust, that that kind of let you spread your wings and guided that. I mean, that's always so important, I'm sure, to have a guy like Joey and some of your other collaborators in there, especially when taking some, I guess, new chances and maybe dipping your toe even farther into this maybe next genre.
Yeah, definitely. And he comes from that world, so he and I just get each other a ton, which is great. And I trust him, and to be honest, he trusts me if I have a direction, or maybe he sends back a mix and I'm like, okay, I think it needs to be more like this. He and I don't really butt heads a lot. We just understand each other. We respect each other's opinions and ideas, and it just works. We've always been able to work really well together because of that.
And clearly it's working, because people are gobbling these tracks up if you've been dropping them. And now with the record officially being out, it dropped July 12th, so we've had it for a while, and we're seeing it continue to do well on the charts and continue to make that hearty name in the rock world. And with that, you also had some people well established. So yeah, you had Fred Durst on a track. You worked with Knox. You had Chad Smith hitting the skins for you. How did all these kind of come into play?
Fred Durst was definitely an industry hookup from a guy that works at my record label, Greg. He used to run Capitol Records in L.A., and so he knows so many people from the rock world. That one was like, hey, Greg, you think you can get me in touch with Fred Durst to see if he would do this song? I cannot deny it. That was all him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I met Chad Smith at the Super Bowl. Chad Kroger from Nickelback introduced me to Chad Smith. And that happened organically. And then with Knox, who I love his stuff, I think he's so cool. This band, Bill Murray, did a song together. And then after that, I met him and just became a fan. And he's a Nashville guy. And so that one was very organic as well. But the Fred one, I cannot take credit for. That was all through my label.
Well, I think it's so cool. You really just it's fun to see that and bring that in, and really expand the sound of the record and all these different influences that come together. Is there a song that maybe really sticks out, resonates with you on this record, maybe compared to the other ones?
Man, that's a great question. I mean, that's really tough. 6 Feet Under is really important because that's like one of the only songs that like I really, really wrote from the heart. Like I needed to get that out following the bus wreck and the emotional roller coaster of the month of October, between it starting with the bus accident and ending with me getting married at the end of the month. Yeah. I would choose that one. That's a really special song and a really special moment in my career because it is a song that I like truly needed to write. It was like therapy for me, and I also just for my wife, I owed her that because of how much joy she brings me. So that's a special one. That's final answer.
I love it, and I think it's so great that as listeners, as fans, to have a vulnerability from artists and really sharing these screenshots, emotional screenshots in life, and I think that's a great answer. I love that answer. We'll take it. Well, again, it's out now. Quit. Before we get to rapid fire, this isn't some breaking news, but if people don't know, I love the album artwork, and the album title actually has quite a bit of meaning. Tell us about that, because if people don't know, it comes from something that happened in life.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'm in my studio right now, and I'm looking at the napkin right now.
That's the real napkin on the album cover from this.
Yeah. I have it framed now. It's in a frame. So 10 years ago or so, I was playing at a bar called the Floribama with a few buddies of mine, and we were playing all these original songs. and none of them were hits, so nobody knew what they were. And somebody at the end of the night wrote "quit" on a napkin, and they put it in the tip jar. So I pulled it out, and I just, by the grace of God, I hung on to it for all these years. I just it's like, you know what, I'm going to keep this. You never know what might happen with it one day. And so 10 years later, I gave a speech at the ACM Honors talking about that moment.
Yeah.
When I won Songwriter of the Year. I wanted that story to be more out in the open, maybe to just inspire people.
Yeah.
Never give up, that sort of thing. But I just feel like that moment in my life deserved its own moment and its own time to shine, and so I did. I dedicated this album to it.
Well, whoever wrote that down, I have a feeling it was a guy with a few too many tall boys in him, and I'm sure you probably seen that like, damn it, that looks like my handwriting. Boy, that looks familiar. I think I remember seeing this guy, and he's eating crow at this point, so we'll take it. We will take it. I love it. Again, the latest album from Hardy, Quit, out now. Now that the important stuff's out of the way, can we do rapid fire and I'll get you out of here?
Let's do it.
All right, I love it. This is the hard hitting stuff. Really getting into it. First one from Hardy: mashed potatoes or baked potato?
Ooh, baked potato.
Now, do you do it fully loaded? All the fixings.
Fully loaded. That's the only reason I picked it.
Yeah,
fully
right.
Loaded.
That's I'm hungry now thinking about it. Disco or techno?
Oh God, techno.
Techno. It seems like neither one is preferred, but we'll go with techno on that one. Soaked jeans or damp socks?
Ooh, damp socks. I can't do soaked jeans.
Well, you being a southern fella, it's very humid in your neck of the woods, so I know soaked jeans is problematic. It's a lot of chafing, isn't it?
I'm a big guy, too. I don't need any extra weight added to my body.
Would you rather see Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster?
Bigfoot, easy.
Now, actually, too, with where you're at, do you feel like you've ever come close to seeing Bigfoot in the hills?
Nah, I think there's a urban legend in my hometown of a swamp monster.
Oh, okay.
Close to where I deer hunt, but I can't say that I've ever felt like I've been close to it.
Well, maybe deer hunting season, you might get a swamp monster instead of that buck. That might be it.
Who knows?
All right, last one, because I've eaten up enough of your time. One punch from Mike Tyson or 100 punches from the Where's the Beef lady?
Oh, no. One from Mike Tyson, because if I live, you get to tell that story forever.
But that's a big if there, Hardy. That's a big if, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Thank you for humoring me. More important, thank you for chatting new music. Quit from Hardy, out now. We wish you nothing but the best, and get back out to fishing. Maybe I'll see you out there in the water, buddy.
All right. That sounds like a plan, brother. Good to talk to you.
All right, thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, cheers. Bye.
Listen, rate, share, subscribe. Discover new music now at WJJO.com, in the JJO app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Rock has a new interview every Thursday evening between 6 and 7. 94.1 JJO.